Is Egwene undertaking an accepted test in the real-time teaser trailer, or is she doing something else entirely different? Now, these scenes and shots have caused a lot of excitement and speculation among the fans, and there's one particular shot that I'm sure you all know where I'm going with, that had a lot of the fandom and community excited for, and that is of course what I like to call the paint infested water that Egwene comes up out of. I've seen a lot of the community speculating that this could be a potential accepted test that Egwene is undertaking. The reason for that is, if we look in the background of this shot, especially true if you're watching it on Amazon Prime and the 4K version, you will be able to notice that there are a couple of women in the background, and adjust the lighting in this shot, you'll be able to make out that they're wearing a red dress as well as a blue dress. And so naturally that's got everybody thinking, oh, it's an accepted test, because of obviously all the colours of the Ajahs that Egwene is in the pool, but also because of the coloured dresses. Now, I'm of a complete different viewpoint, and what I'm going to be doing is explaining what that is and how I believe that I'm correct in my assumptions. So with that being said, let's jump right in and get down to why these scenes are not accepted tests that Egwene is taking. So we begin with the beginning of the trailer, and we see Egwene and Nynaeve on the cliff top, and as we all can see, poor old Egwene, she gets dunked into the river by Nynaeve. And then she goes on obviously a little journey that we see little bits of throughout the rest of the trailer. We see an overview, bird's eye shot of the river that she's flowing down, and then we get a close-up shot of her where she looks to be either just closing her eyes and kind of trying to relax in the predicament she finds herself in, or perhaps she could be unconscious. But what I believe all these shots are is of her woman circle initiation, and I also believe that there's a lot of evidence to support and back that up. So if we cast our minds back to 2019, I believe around September, August, October time, there was our first official real-time set leak, and these took place in Slovenia near a river called the Socha River. And at the time we weren't too sure what was going on in the Socha River, as in pertaining to what type of scenes they were filming. We knew they were doing some sort of stunt kind of over the river, as we saw kind of almost like these not tripwires, but wires going across the river, and there was like an acrobat kind of man or woman on top. It was very hard to make out because the shots weren't too clear, but we knew it was Wheel of Time. Then maybe a year or a little bit more later, we got a additional update on this particular scene that was being shot. We got photos of a stunt double for Egwene. Now, thanks to the trailer being released, we can now safely say that that first leaked Wot set was in fact the scene where Egwene gets dumped into the river by Nynaeve. So that now obviously corroborates my theory to a certain degree. So then what I want you guys to do, in particular with these first opening shots, is to obviously pay attention to what Egwene is wearing, but not only that, look at the surroundings from where she's being dropped in. There's the rocky formation, obviously, on either side of the river that she goes into, and then there's a lot of greenery over on top of it. Then we move into the second shot later in the trailer, where she's obviously now, we've got a bird's eye view of the river, and obviously Egwene, and then we see what I think is kind of almost unconsciously floating in the river. And I believe they're probably from the same scene, because the river obviously looks exactly the same as in the first shot, as well as the vegetation and the rock formations is exactly the same. But there is one thing to note in that little shot after that, when we get the the close-up of Egwene in the river, and I have to note this. It looks like she's wearing a different outfit in that particular shot. There's a very kind of reddish feel to the outfit she's wearing, and so that made me think maybe that's from a different scene of Egwene in the river. And now we all know what that scene could be. But before I get into it, this is going to be a spoiler alert for anybody that is still reading book 1. If you haven't done so, I will leave a time link that you can jump forward to so you will not be spoiled. Okay, so as we all know, we have a 15-minute sequence with Shadar Logoth in one of the episodes. And obviously, as we all know from the books, the group gets separated into 3. We have Egwene and Perrin becoming a group, and they obviously, as we know, Perrin falls into a river, as well as Egwene, we presume, unless I'm mistaken in thinking that. Now, what I believe is happening in that particular close-up shot is that could be the scenes from after Shadar Logoth, where they've obviously, as we know, that happens at night, but then they filmed the aftermath of that in the early morning when she's still unconscious, and then she will kind of float towards the shore and then wake up and then kind of meet up with Perrin later on. So that's one thing that might be a little bit different, and then that will play off of that. But then now let's get to that huge big scene which made people believe it was a accepted test that Egwene was undertaking. And now I can understand why you would all think that. You've got Egwene coming up out of the paint infested pool with the Ajah colours, and we have the 2 women in the background that are in red and blue. Now, there's one thing I would stress and to note is, you know, kind of, I know this is hard, but look away from all the vibrant colours that we're seeing Egwene come out of this water in, and pay attention to her actual outfit, her dress. It's the exact same dress that she's wearing when Nynaeve throws her into the river. And so that's why I believe this is in fact not a accepted test. This is more a woman's circle sort of initiation that they've made for this show. And I do believe it may be a little bit of foreshadowing for what is to come when she does initially get to that accepted test later in the series. But what I think is going on, and the reasons why they included this shot in the teaser trailer, was to be a little bit of mischief and misdirection on their behalf for us. I believe what's actually happening is this is the ending of the Women's Circle initiation scene that we know did take place, as there was an article on wotseries.com where they outlined what exactly was happening in that scene. So that was where we got the new update from that first Wot set leak, where we saw the stunt double of Egwene and Madeline Madden. So I believe that this is the culmination of that. Now, as to why they've gone about with putting all the Ajah colours in there, I feel that's just obviously a little bit of artistic license. We don't exactly know why, but this is obviously what the Women's Circle's initiation looks like. And of course, there's a lot of foreshadowing happening here with Egwene and what she will no doubt be going through in the series, and as we all know, in the books. And obviously, as I said, I understand why everybody made these assumptions, but there's one thing I want to stress on why that happened, and it's because, understandably, when you see any woman in this series completely outfitted in what we presume to be a full red or blue outfit, or for any of the Ajah colours for that matter, people just automatically assume that it's an Aes Sedai. And I think that's something a lot of you guys, and myself included, will have to kind of pull back from and kind of take a step back and think, not every woman that's in the Ajah colours has to be an Aes Sedai. And I think that's what really was being used here in this scene and why it was used in the trailer. And also the fact that they split this scene up and had it, spread out across the trailer, just in different sections, I think also would kind of make you naturally think that they're from different scenes, because you're seeing so many different scenes in between those particular shots of Egwene and Nynaeve that you don't necessarily, when it comes to your brain, connect them together initially on your first few watches of the trailer. But yeah, so I hope I've explained that in a very clear and precise manner to you all. I would love to know now whether you guys are completely set on what I've outlined in this video and now you're on board with it being the Women's Circle initiation. Once again, thank you for watching again. Leave a like and any comments you have on this topic, as it greatly helps the video's searchability on YouTube. And subscribe if you're new as well. Thanks for watching again, and I'll see you all in the next video.